Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some really fun spice in the Master League, Meloetta. Meloetta has a pretty unique typing, normal and psychic, which does give it a pretty cool niche in the Master League meta. For the moveset, Meloetta is running Confusion as the fast move with Psyshock and Thunderbolt. And to round out the rest of the team, this battler is running double nuke Zacian on the lead and Lugia as the safe switch. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Meloetta in action in the Master League. Picking up a very nice lead in the first match, Zacian into Dialga. Zacian, of course, has the ability to hit for massive super effective damage with the close combats, and on top of that, they significantly outpace Dialga as well. Close combat does force the shield, but Dialga does have the ability to hit back for super effective damage with Iron Heads, and after the defense debuff, an Iron Head would be KOing. Dialga tries for the catch onto Giratina, and in comes Meloetta. Meloetta, despite being a psychic type, as I mentioned earlier, has that normal subtyping, which means it single resists ghost moves, and those are the only types of moves that Giratina Origin runs. All Meloetta has to do is throw one Psyshock, and then they're going to be able to completely Confusion down. This Giratina is absolutely trapped and has nowhere to run. Second Shadow Ball comes through. Meloetta does not care about Shadow Balls, able to tank that absolutely no problem. Back in comes Dialga, and there's a bunch of lag. Able to get off the Thunderbolt here. May have meant to tap on the Psyshock, but unfortunately there was some lag, which is a little rough. And, just not able to get to the second move. But on the bright side, they have a ton of energy on Zacian. The opponent switches in their own Zacian, and a very nice read to not throw the close combat, and instead go for the back-to-back wild charge. A Snarl does come through, but you should be able to swap into Lugia here and Dragon Tail down, and from here, this is a very straightforward game, as you can very safely save the shield for your own Zacian. And the opposing Zacian is not even running Wild Charge. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, and it's the Zacian Mirror. Now this is a bit of a tricky matchup if you're running Wild Charge over Play Rough, as you never want to be the first one to throw a move. As you see, this battler actually farms over 100 energy to not be the first Zacian to throw. Now why that matters is, as you see, non-debuff you can tank a Wild Charge no problem, whereas after you debuff yourself, as you see from the opponent feels pressured to shield. You definitely want to shield the second one, of course. The opponent is now 4 stages debuffed and feels pressured to save swap, and they swap into Ho-Oh. Unfortunately, Ho-Oh definitely does not like Wild Charges. That does big damage, overfarms by a Snarl, and now brings in Lugia, and Lugia can very safely Dragon Tail down, since Ho-Oh cannot hold 2 Brave Birds at the same time. Brave Bird comes through, that does do some big damage, but Lugia able to farm down, and they leave with a decent amount of health and quite a bit of energy as well. Back in comes Zacian, but Lugia able to reach the Aeroblast, and this will be doing big damage or guaranteeing a shield. Aeroblast does get the shield, but Lugia gets the boost, and now the Zacian may feel pressured to throw, which they do. This will be taking out the Lugia. His Zacian is pretty low, so honestly, you may just want to come into Meloetta here and just soak some energy. Farming up, and the opponent has Zarude in the back, so going into Meloetta there was absolutely huge, as Zacian should be able to reach the 2 close combats needed to take them out, and from here, Meloetta should be able to close. Unfortunately, Zarude does outpace, but you can very easily shield here, shielding up the Dark Pulse, and then you're going to be going for the close combat to guarantee the KO on the Zarude, and from here, this game should be over, as that Meloetta is exceedingly healthy. The opposing Zacian unfortunately able to farm down, but Meloetta should be able to reach a Psyshock, and from here, Psyshock should be more than enough, especially after a Wild Charge. Very nice under tap there. Going to be able to get off the Psyshock. Psyshock will be taking care of that opposing Zacian, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Zacian into Togekiss. And this is where it is very fortunate to be running Wild Charge, as Zacian will significantly outpace, and even landing one of these Wild Charges will almost one-shot the Togekiss. Farming up to the back-to-back, first one gets the shield, they bank the second, and they save switch into the Lugia to check and see if the opponent has any steel types in the back. The Togekiss is staying in, which should hopefully mean that Meloetta has some decent play in the back. Lugia farming up to the Aeroblast, unfortunately just gets outpaced. They will survive this Ancient Power, and then they will be able to get off the Aeroblast, but the Togekiss boosts, and things suddenly get very dire. This Aeroblast is now not going to KO. They shield it, Lugia gets the boost, but unfortunately those boosted charms do too much, and Lugia gets farmed down. Back in comes Zacian. These boosted charms are absolutely tearing through Zacian, farming up to the back-to-back moves, going for the Wild Charge, does not KO, brings in Meloetta to farm down. You have to start shielding something, so going to commit the shield on Meloetta, and Meloetta able to confusion down. So they have a loaded move on Zacian, and they have Meloetta up a shield, and the opponent brings in Mewtwo. They throw after 5, this is just a Psy Strike, you can tank it. A Psy Strike still does a sizable chunk of damage though. Meloetta is going to be going for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, of course, will be hitting for neutral here, and does do a sizable chunk onto the Mewtwo. Unfortunately, not enough to KO, and the question is this going to be farm down range? Meloetta, unfortunately not able to farm down, and they are going to have to throw the Psyshock to take out, and the question is, what is in the back? And it is Kyogre. Meloetta doing as much confusion damage as they can, and now the question is, did that put it into Wild Charge range? Come on, Zacian. Zacian gets the Kyogre very low, and they're just not able to take them out. An incredibly close game, almost able to overcome the boosted Togekiss. Hopping to the next match, very nice lead. We've seen this play out before, Zacian into Dialga. Unfortunately, the Zacian was desynced at the start, but again, farming up to 5, just in case they try and catch as soon as you reach the close combat, and able to force the shield. Getting to sneak through the Snarl as they throw, which is very nice. Obviously have to shield the Iron Head now that you're debuffed. The opponent tries to catch onto Giratina, farms up to max energy on Zacian, and an incredible catch onto Meloetta. Ominous Wind is going to be doing absolutely nothing, and yet another Giratina is completely trapped by Meloetta. Ominous Wind? Sure. Shadow Ball? Why not? They are trying for that boost, but the boost is not going to save them today. Meloetta going for the Psyshock. That does get the Giratina very low, and can safely tank this, even if it's a Shadow Ball, and farm all the way down. Shadow Ball? Sure. Meloetta don't care. Farming all the way down, and in comes Dialga. And they bank a bunch of energy and aggressive swap back into the Zacian. This first close combat will be getting the shield. Dialga switches out, and it's Kyogre. Kyogre will not be appreciating this Wild Charge. This will be doing some big damage onto the Kyogre. Can they get to another? They get farmed down. Meloetta has a move loaded. They are going to be able to get off this Thunderbolt, and this Thunderbolt is going to be doing big damage, taking out the Kyogre. Back in comes Dialga, and now it's all up to Lugia with the shield. Can they take out Dialga? This is going to be a very tough baiting game. Shields up what's probably an Iron Head. It is the Iron Head. Now the question is, can Dialga reach the Draco? Dialga reaches a move. The question is this the Draco Meteor? It is. Lugia able to survive, under taps, gets to the Aeroblast. Will this Aeroblast be enough to take out the Dialga? It is. The absolute bulk on Lugia, tanking that Draco Meteor like it's nothing, and that is a good game. Picking up a very nice lead, Zacian into Melmetal. But the Melmetal is farming up a ton of energy, which could potentially mean Flash Cannon. Going to shield to respect the potential Flash Cannon, but it was all mind games from the opponent. No Flash Cannon comes through, and the opponent safe swaps into their own Zacian. We'll be able to get some nice Wild Charge damage off onto the opponent's Zacian, and now they're going to switch into Lugia. I really like the decision to bring in Lugia here. This way you can guarantee Lugia at the very least a neutral matchup, and more importantly, you can keep it away from the opponent's Melmetal. The opposing Zacian is running Play Rough over Wild Charge, which is very fortunate. This means that Lugia can actually no-shield the first 2 charge moves and still survive. So as you see, the second Play Rough does not KO, and now Lugia will be able to get off a second Sky Attack. Sky Attack actually gets the second shield, so they are looking to protect the Zacian. Lugia gets to the Sky Attack, but the opponent makes a very nice catch back onto their own Melmetal. So they have saved that Zacian with energy in the back. From here, you can bring in your own Zacian. You know they don't have Flash Cannon, so you can safely let this go. And then from here, they do overfarm by just a little bit, and now they're going for the close combat to take them out. But now their defense is lowered, and we know the opponent has energy in back. The opponent brings in Zacian, brings in the Meloetta, and they are going to be able to tank that energy on Meloetta. Can Meloetta confusion down here? They cannot. So close to being able to confusion down. Play Rough comes through, it's shielded up, and they have Lugia in the back, and now we get to see Thunderbolt in action. How much damage will this do onto Lugia? That actually does huge damage onto Lugia. Can Meloetta get to another before they get farmed down? Lugia gets scared and Lugia throws, and I think that means this game is over, because the Zacian should be outside of Sky Attack range here, so this should just be the Sky Attack, and Zacian lives this. And Lugia does not apply a lot of fast move pressure, so from here, you can very safely overfarm, you can get to the Wild Charge, and they should be just about at a second one as well. Back in comes the opposing Zacian, able to get to the close combat, and that is going to be taking out the opponent, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match and picking up the Nightmare lead in Giratina Altered. Unfortunately, running this double nuke Zacian moveset, you are completely walled by both Giratinas. The Lugia save switch is met by Dialga, which honestly isn't too bad for Lugia. Lugia going for the bait. And they're able to get the shield. That is absolutely massive. Lugia wanting to preserve HP, shielding themselves, and that ends up being a very worthwhile shield as this Dialga is running Thunder. The Dragon Tails from Lugia are really adding up as Dialga is now below half health. Going for another bait, but the Dialga calls the bait, and here's where things can get a little tricky. They are shielding up, so they're clearly trying to still win switch, and they're going for the farm down. Can they get the Dragon Tail down? Lugia able to get the Dragon Tail down, and they leave with the Arrow Blast loaded, which will be doing big damage on whatever decides to come in, and it's a Togekiss. This Arrow Blast will be doing massive damage and able to force the final shield. Winning switch is absolutely everything here. They bring in the Zacian, the opponent brings in the Giratina, and they're able to catch what should hopefully be, yes, the Shadow Sneak onto Meloetta. As opposed to Giratina Origin, Giratina Altered can hit for neutral with Dragon Claw, but Dragon Claw is a very low damage move, and Meloetta is fairly bulky in Masters. So Meloetta should be able to tank a few Dragon Claws here, and after they land the Psyshock plus the Confusions are really going to add up here. Psyshock able to get the Giratina very low. Giratina will reach a move, and we have to be careful because the switch clock should be coming up here relatively soon. They try and switch into the Togekiss, and in comes Zacian. And Zacian should be able to farm up to the back-to-back Wild Charges. I believe this should just be the Ancient Power, and so long as they don't get the boost, we should be in business. Did not look like they got the boost. This Wild Charge will just about be taking them out. They overfarm by one. They go for a little bit of a disrespect with the close combat. You love to see it there. Close combat taking them out. Back in comes the Giratina. Giratina farms down, but Meloetta has the Psyshock loaded. Psyshock will be taking out the Giratina, and after the Nightmare lead, still able to fight back and get the win. Very nicely done. Hopping into the next match and picking up another Dialga lead. We've seen this play out a couple times. This is incredibly positive for Zacian. Zacian again overfarming by one Snarl, so that way it makes it a bit harder for the opponent to catch. And on top of that, with this timing, they still ever so slightly outpace the Dialga to their Iron Head. Going to need to commit the shield. Dialga content with trading one shield, and now they save switch into their own Zacian. I like the decision to get some chip damage here since you don't have a dedicated answer to a Zacian save switch, and now they bring in Meloetta. Now Meloetta should be able to tank one move here, play rough. Honestly, Meloetta tanks that pretty well. A second move could get a little rough though, but they're actually opting to let it go. I'm pretty sure this kills. Close combat. Meloetta actually lives on 1 HP. Oh my goodness, a beautiful undertap. They get off the Psyshock and they're able to keep switch. What a read, recognizing that Meloetta would still survive that. And now that you've kept switch advantage, this game is looking fantastic. They bring back in Zacian, again, throwing it a weird time to make it more difficult for the Dialga player to catch. I really like the decision making. Dialga actually lets it go, recognizing that they will survive. Going to commit the shield. This will be the Iron Head, and we'll have to see what's in back, and it's Excadrill. Unfortunately, the Excadrill sneaks, so they're at 4 mud shots. So they have to switch here or they're going to get outpaced. and they get outpaced by a turn. Oh my goodness, and now it's all up to Lugia to try and take out Excadrill. We know Lugia is famously bulky. These Dragon Tails are doing a nice amount of damage, so the question is, will Dragon Tails and Aeroblast be enough? And can we survive enough Rock Slides to get there? The Excadrill is at Rock Slide number 2. This is going to be very, very close for the Lugia. Can they get to the Aeroblast? The opponent tries to catch. They transfer the Dragon Tail, so they fail to catch. Lugia will be able to reach the Aeroblast. Aeroblast takes out the Excadrill, and that is a good game. Hopping to the final match, and it's another Zacian mirror. Again, since he's running Wild Charge, he does not want to be the first Zacian to throw, so my guess is he's probably going to farm up until the opponent decides to throw, which they do, and he's able to sneak an extra Snarl through thanks to Desync. Unfortunately, the opposing Zacian is running Play Rough, which means they don't have to debuff themselves, which means it's a lot less likely to force a shield on the first, and the opponent makes a very nice catch, catching the second Wild Charge onto a Giratina Origin. Unfortunately for the Giratina Origin, though, it is about to enter an absolute world of hurt as in comes Meloetta. Meloetta doesn't care about your Shadow Ball. Meloetta is going to be able to overfarm a decent amount, and now going for the Psyshock. Psyshock will not KO, but will get it very low, and then Meloetta able to farm down. And Meloetta is actually not too far off a charge move, so if they bring back in the Zacian, it should be able to reach one. But no, the opponent actually brings in Dialga, and with it comes some lag. Meloetta farming up a nice amount of energy, able to get to 2, and now the switch clock should be up. So if they want, they can bank this energy and switch out, which they do. They switch into Lugia. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. So all in all, some incredibly fun battles in Master League with Meloetta, and this trainer showing that even if your Meloetta wasn't necessarily the greatest IV, it still can be put to some pretty decent work in the Master League. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.